You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Florida retirement haven unravels as seniors face ruin under Trump economy, based on an article by Thomas Kekut. Florida's seniors are paying for political neglect. A safety net was turned into a sieve. CNN's report does one useful thing. It puts faces on a policy disaster. A Florida nurse sleeping in her car. A senior trying to keep up with bills while Social Security stays flat. A health system where premiums are set to double for millions as subsidies expire, and where coverage is already too thin for far too many people. This is not cost pressure. The framing matters. Cost of living sounds like a weather report. It is not. The people in charge of Florida's Medicaid choices, federal subsidy policy, and the budget decisions behind the One Big Beautiful Bill Act are not passive witnesses to hardship. They are the mechanism producing it. When Florida rejects federal dollars to expand coverage, that is not complexity. It is a decision to leave poor and near-poor people exposed. When a state keeps eligibility so restrictive that a single parent with 2 children can qualify only at absurdly low income levels, that is not prudence. It is political cruelty with paperwork. The weak are made to absorb the blame. The segment's strength is that it shows how ordinary people are being forced to improvise around institutional failure. The weakness is broader than CNN alone. Too much coverage treats this as a problem seniors are experiencing, as if they caused it by failing to budget correctly. Ellen Tracino living in her car is not evidence of personal irresponsibility. Phoebe White keeping a car insurance payment current because she may need the car as shelter is not a quirky coping strategy. It is what happens when housing, healthcare, and retirement income are all squeezed at once and public policy refuses to break the fall. Florida as a political laboratory. Florida is not just a retirement destination, it is a stress test for a governing model that extracts loyalty while refusing material protection. The state's massive senior population makes the damage easy to see, which is why the story lands there so sharply. What emerges is a familiar pattern. Privatize risk, restrict eligibility, then point to the resulting suffering as though it were unfortunate, but unavoidable. The result is a population told to be resilient while the state withholds the tools that would make resilience possible. The real authors of the crisis. The article's title language points at Trump, but the deeper story is institutional. The damage comes from a coalition of officials and lawmakers who keep choosing austerity for the poor and protection for the powerful. Expiring subsidies, narrow Medicaid access, and looming coverage cuts are not accidents. They are policy architecture. That is why the usual language around vulnerable seniors is too soft. Vulnerability is being manufactured. People are being pushed toward homelessness, medical debt, and impossible trade-offs by elected bodies that know exactly what their decisions do. The system is working as designed. The larger lesson is not that America has a few broken programs. It is that the system keeps making the same kind of people pay for the same kind of political choices. Older people, poor people, and working people are asked to absorb losses created by officials who will never live with the consequences. That is the governing logic on display here. Shift risk downward, shrink eligibility, and then describe the wreckage as a sad economic trend. The facts in Florida are blunt. The cruelty is not confused, it is administered. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article. With the automated voice of Clara, thanks for listening.